welcome to the Afters Podcast, where we chit-chat away about music and industry and Vancouverness.
Vancouverness, that's a word.
Oh God, that's a new one.
Yeah. All right, we gotta try things differently. We are joined by Steph Tsunami. Welcome in.
Hello, thank you for having me. Oh my God, my pleasure. And
we'll get a Steam Deck with an applause thing soon.
Yeah, it'll be a button.
The next step, guys.
Confetti will go off.
Yeah.
oh my God. Overstimulating.
Fans will pop out from every corner.
Yeah.
Yes, work.
We have Mason in the house, as always, dragged in here.
Somebody's got to do the tech support.
And I am Blondie. Thank you so much for being here. Please hit the subscribe button. While you're here, we have new podcasts every single week and live episodes on Twitch on Wednesdays, which is what you're here for.
Yeah.
And you're here for
I'm here for this.
us.
Hell yeah.
Welcome
Let's go. Oh my God,
in.
thank you.
So I kind of want to start at the very beginning of all of this.
Beginning of Steph.
Oh, wind it all back. We're
yeah.
winding back time into, do you recall the first moments that you realized that you were in love with music?
Oh my God, like literally, my parents told me like when I was a little kid, I was good at rhythm. Like they're like, they'd take me to music class as a kid and they're like, I'd be like hitting those kid drums like on beat. But
Yeah.
I remember like the earliest memory I could think of me like consciously being like, I like music is I was about like 8 or 9 and I would watch Much Music like frequently.
Love
Yeah.
Much
And I
Music,
became
yeah.
obsessed with the countdowns, and
Yeah.
I would literally sit there and I'd predict like who would make the top 10 or top 20 every year.
Me too.
Yeah.
I used to do that all the time. Yeah,
Oh my
all the
God.
time. Yeah.
Love that. You and I are special breed.
I was addicted to the top 10s.
Yeah.
Especially Rap City. I was all over that.
Rap City
Back, I mean,
was
this
a
is in the 90s. You were probably.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the
Rap
same age,
City
actually.
would like be on like after I'd go to bed.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
I'd be like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
But
It's like, go
the
to bed, come on.
countdowns,
Yeah,
like
the top 10s. Yeah.
countdowns, I'd straight up like I'd sit there and be like, ooh, like, and they'd have everything. They'd have punk, they'd have rap.
It's
they'd
literally
have,
any genre.
yeah.
Yeah.
Genres.
Yeah,
And I
remember it
think
was-
that
yeah.
reflects on me today. I literally love everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd predict the countdown, top 10s, whatever, and I'd often get them right. And my mom would be like, girl, like, look at you.
Yeah.
You're predicting these. And then I got into, I was a big rocker kid growing up, and then I learned guitar. And then I went into high school and I kind of switched to like rap and EDM.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I just played guitar through high school. I was in the school band.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and then after high school, I started DJing in university. And
okay.
it's been about like 8 years now.
Yeah.
Wow,
Did
yeah.
you grow up in Vancouver area?
Grew up in Vancouver.
Yeah,
Born and
cool.
raised.
Ooh, look at us.
Oh,
Double
there
whammy.
you go.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a very rare breed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Very.
often meet people and they come up to me. They're like, "Wait, so you're like Vancouver? Like you're not
Yeah.
like you're not Abbotsford. You're not."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, I'm
No,
Yeah.
downtown Vancouver.
Kitsilano. I grew up."
Yeah.
So.
Oh, there you go.
Well, I was
That's
born
rare.
literally on Robson Street and
Oh.
and Cardero,
Yeah.
and then when I was about 2.5 or 3 years old, my parents moved to North Van because we needed a
Yes.
bigger place.
Right.
And then as soon as I was done there, I mean, I spent my entire teenage social life in downtown as well. It's just a lure to here. So I spent all my social time here.
Yes.
Yeah, and then as soon as I moved out, I was back in downtown. I got my first job in downtown. Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been great. I feel
Yeah.
like growing up here, I've really gotten to see Vancouver music for all it's been. Like even in high school, I'd go to like those all ages raves, like
Yeah.
Contact and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think the first like rave I went to. Oh my God, I think I was like 14, and it was actually at Gorgomish. It was like.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
I did
they
one
did
of
all
those.
they did all
Yeah,
the shows.
yeah,
here,
we used to have all ages
All
things.
ages. Oh, those were rowdy.
Yeah, they were.
fun.
And I think we had to wear all white because
Yeah.
I think they had like black lights or something. Anyway, and it was a hard style rave.
Oh, no
Oh.
way.
So I'm there in Gorgomish, like
Yeah.
14 years old, being like dong da dong da dong da dong da. But it was so fun. And if I remember to prepare for it, I was like,
Yeah.
my friends are more into the rave scene a bit before me. And they're like, Steph, hardstyle. I'm like, what the heck is hardstyle?
Yeah.
So I listened to like hour-long playlists of it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. And then I got into it. Hardstyle was way more of a mainstream thing back then, I feel.
I think it was a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as popular now, for sure.
Yeah.
It's got its
Yeah.
pockets for sure.
got its
Yeah.
pockets.
Yeah, it's got its pockets for sure.
Definitely. I think it's kind of moved around to different areas of the world, too.
Yes. Oh,
in
yeah.
Popularity.
But yeah, that
Yeah.
was day one rave, and then I still went to the more all ages events. I remember Mad Decent Block Party was
Oh,
one that I
Poppin',
loved. I'm
yeah.
still like big Mad Decent Diplo fan. And yeah, and then started I used to go to Fortune a lot. This is when I became of age.
Yeah.
Obviously, celebrities, the regular like the Blueprint events and all that. Yeah,
Because that, I mean, you're talking like 8 years ago. That was like the heyday.
Yeah,
Like 8-9 years ago, that was the heyday. Like some of the best events I've ever been to were in those years.
100%.
Yeah.
Like I still, my favorite rave memories were like, I think 2014, I'd say, 2014, 2015. And that was when like, I think about like trap music and all those big like bangers where the like the drops would hit and everyone would go nuts. And
Big room, house music.
Yeah, it was, that was when like
Trap
when
music.
like Faded was moving into like the trap stuff and
the hip hop, and they had
and it was all like in that kind of more moving away from the dubstep to the more that kind of trap, Moonbaton, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I remember that lineup that had who was it? There was like Travis Scott, Jack U. I was like, nothing could ever beat this. Like this is, I don't know if Arl Grime was there. I don't know, but I was like, this is peak amazingness. And then now,
like 2017 or something, right?
Yeah,
I went to that one.
2016, 2017, something like that.
Something in there.
And then I'm like, nothing could possibly beat this. And then look at the Faded lineup this year.
Oh my God.
Probably the
my
best
hands.
festival lineup
Crying.
in Canada.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hands
It's pretty
down.
wild.
I still like, I walk by in the street and I see those flyers and I see like LVL at the bottom and I'm like, I'll be like, walk across the street, I see it and I'm like,
Yeah.
That's me.
I'm there.
Oh
That's
my
me.
God.
Sometimes I'll like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
give it a little pat.
That's the thing.
great.
That's. I mean, we're kind of way segueing here, but like the one thing that I saw once I started seeing the lineups and the multiple stages, I was just like, this lineup is almost wasted because you're not going to be able to see
All the people that you
everybody you want to see.
No.
Yeah, there's so
Somebody-
many conflicts. Like I'm just literally going to be like, well, I'm going to stay at the main
I'm gonna
stage.
miss everything.
And I'm gonna miss
catch
everything at the Faded stage, which I want to see almost all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna miss all
You're gonna have
that.
to
And then
split
there's the other.
yourself.
Yeah, it's. I'm kind of a little bit sad, to be honest,
Yeah.
because it is.
So good.
It's too good. Like it's just.
Way too
yeah.
good.
And that's the thing people always say to you, like, oh, just bounce around. But it's like all the time you spend getting
Moving
from one
around,
stage
you're
to the
not
next.
partying, yeah.
You're only going to be at the sets for like
Yeah.
And if you're only
10
at
minutes
the set
each.
for half an hour too, it's not like the artist has an intention and like a journey and a story for the set.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know.
Like what, you hear 4 songs? That's like, oh,
Yeah.
great. Oh, great set.
Great song selection.
Yeah.
You know?
No, for real.
Yeah.
So, I don't
That's
know.
exciting. Okay, so dialing it back, we've
Yeah.
gotten to the present day
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
quickly,
yeah.
which is amazing.
Yeah,
But
the Spark Notes edition.
Yes, we'll put that in the clip notes. But I guess with like going to all those raves when you're younger, going to all like the underground and those sorts of things, what was it about like the rave culture or the music or like the parties or like what was that about that kind of really drew you and kept you there?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like I think just the amount of cool people I met and like nice people and people who were like you became friends with easily and like took you into their friend groups easily, you know? Like I feel like, it's like I said, I used to go to Fortune a lot. I was a big rap person and I was like in the rap scene for a bit and I liked that. But one thing that the rap scene lacked was like that community and people supporting each other.
There
and-
really is not. Yeah.
There
I
was,
was
like,
I was super big
cattiness
into it.
and-
It's like. Yeah. And the thing is too is like going to rap shows unless there's like an artist performing. 9 times out of 10 they're pretty bad. You know, like
It's like
Interesting.
they often, I don't know, it's more like a crowd hype thing as
Yeah.
opposed to like I'm going to give the performance of my life.
yeah.
Whereas you go to these, oh my God, you go to these electronic shows and these DJs they captivate you.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
And like you said before, like DJs, they tell a story beginning to end, full hour, and you sit there and you're like, wow. Like, and some people may say like, oh, well, like a rapper or a singer, like they're on the mic, they're getting up, whereas a DJ's pressing buttons. It's like, the DJ does more than pressing the buttons. They're creating a flow.
absolutely.
They're creating they've produced these tracks. They've searched for these tracks.
Yeah.
DJing's
they
not
put their
necessarily
soul into it.
hard, but you can definitely tell the difference between a good and a bad DJ.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's just because the barrier of entry is not extremely high does not mean that there isn't a skill to it, an artistry to it. You know, it's like saying it's super easy to take a paintbrush and put it on a canvas. Yeah, of course it is.
But, to bring
But the
out
difference between
artistry of that.
a good
Yeah.
painter and a bad painter, you could tell very fast. Yeah.
Yep.
So
So quick.
So yeah, no, the scene, I just would, I was going to all sorts of events back then, and like many different clubs, and like I enjoyed my time at all of them. I still enjoy my time at many different types of shows, but the electronic scene really, I don't know, more and more each
When you get to
weekend
the right,
I'd go.
you get into the right group in Vancouver,
Happiness.
which is, you know, of course, a very cliquey city. Everybody knows that. But when you get into the right group, you meet the right few people that show you the scene, it turns into like, this is the best place ever.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely a lot of like support and, you know, a lot of kindness and openness in the scene. And I think that, you know, a lot of these older festivals that we always talk about are very much responsible for that type of culture. And we just continue to benefit from that these days. I think it's, you know, very powerful stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Especially when we talk to people from other places and they're like, some people are like, oh yeah, there's a really great scene. Other people are like, no, not really. It's very competitive or whatever. And it's just
like I can't find
so it's all
friends,
it's all over the place. So
Yeah.
you know, it's a very special thing we have going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
a lot of people come from these other countries, and they come and like you said, they hear the rumors that, oh, Vancouver, no fun city, like we should just go to Montreal or Toronto, right? And then they come here and it's like, no, you gotta
It's just like, it's not the mainstream fun. You know, if you just go to the bar district and think you're gonna find what we are talking about there, you're gonna just get whatever that is, right? And if that's what you want, then for sure it's pretty homogenized and stale. But
the scene
if
that
that's what
we're
you want,
talking
then
about
sure.
is a little bit more
Of course,
underground.
no, it's definitely not in the mainstream established places. And you know, I think the reality of Vancouver being so expensive and the fact that these bars need to make money and you know, they have to do what's
It's a
easiest to
very
get the
expensive
people.
city.
Yeah, so
venues close left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Like as
Yeah.
soon as the culture gets built, it's like,
yeah.
oh, sorry, goodbye.
Yeah.
Like
Can't
that venue's
afford it
gone.
anymore.
Yeah.
Or the police shut it down.
Yeah, here's some red
something
tape,
like
here's
that.
some rules.
I always get so gutted every time like a favorite
Yeah.
spot of mine, you know, it ceases to exist.
Yeah.
I remember like 333. I was so sad about
Yeah.
333.
Oh,
Yeah, 323 was so good.
The little black room. Yeah. Oh, so cute.
Yeah, 323 was great.
It was great. That's so that anybody that doesn't know, what was 333?
333 was like a venue on Clark and Hastings-ish. And it was, they had a lot of house and techno events or more underground events. And the address was literally like 333 Clark. And
323, I think. 323 or 333?
333.
Oh, it was 333. Yeah, you're right.
I remember it was like a ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, it was tiny in there. Like they had graffiti on the walls. They had one bathroom in the corner.
That was the worst part about it, was the one bathroom for sure.
I think
Yeah.
I went there a couple of times.
Yeah, no, I have a memory.
Yeah,
of,
because
like,
it's just a shop, right? Like it's just like a shop
It was
converted
just like
into
a warehousey shoppy.
like I was lucky the toilet worked some nights. But I remember there was one night I have a vivid memory. The headliner that played that night, who came from the U.S., whatever, I recognized them, and I'm like, oh, you're so and so, and they're like, oh, is this the bathroom? I'm like, yeah, and they're just kind of like, oh God, but it was dingy, but it
not
was
fancy.
so fun. Like everyone who went there was having a great time, and you know,
a lot of good times
That's the
there for
thing,
sure.
though, is like everybody shows up because the community is so good, and you know that when you go to 333, it's the after party where all your friends are gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's underground. It's secret. It's not gonna get shut down. They have great music. You know?
It never got shut down. Yeah, that's the other thing. Is I don't think.
they sold it.
No, I think like
or
I mean like
something.
any party I went to, I don't think ever got shut down. Not that I can remember.
So,
No.
Yeah.
Like something else about the scene that I love is just how supportive people are too. Like I could post about a gig I have or like an accomplishment I get, and people are like, "Oh my God, yes, yes, yes."
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know, I feel like in other, like not just the music scene, but just people in life are not as quick to like go out of their way to praise you for things. They'll be more like like I heard about this. Whereas people will go out of their way to congratulate you, support you, go to your shows, buy your music. It's I love that.
No, especially like the DJ community who are like we're building this scene and we're so supportive of each other too. And building all the things.
The best.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
So with our community and building the community and being here for a long time, have you had a lot of interactions and friends and collaborations?
Absolutely.
In the scene?
Absolutely. Like I think most of it honestly came after COVID. Because people, like before COVID, like I was still kind of like I would DJ at bars and pubs. I was still kind of a little baby DJ, didn't really know what I wanted from my DJ career yet. And then like I think I played my first club show at Levels right before like literally I think the week before lockdown happened.
Oh,
and
no
then
way.
as soon as lockdown happened, people are like, ooh, what are we gonna do? No fun.
Yeah.
We're stuck. And then
Everybody's indoors all by themselves.
yeah, then the
Yeah.
live streams came to happen. Like they, I don't know, like SIE events were doing streams, Kumo was doing streams, and it was like a weekly thing. And I feel like every week they do like a new theme or like a new group of DJs, so people really got to know each other. And even though it was very like we'd have to wear the masks on screen, and it was still very
Yeah.
like, okay, we have to leave by 10 p.m.
Right.
But everyone, you know, you got to meet a lot of people, network, and, you know, add each other on social media, support each other. And then I feel like once all that was over, we had all these new friends.
Yeah.
And all these new opportunities came for so many of us. So
Absolutely.
I love it. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like that really helped me realize where I wanted to go with music because I got to test out so many genres. I remember one week I'd do a house set, one week I'd do a techno set, one week I'd do a trap set. It was, and it got me to practice a lot.
Yeah.
And now here I am.
Yeah, giving you
So-
that avenue. I think a lot of collectives popped up during that time too.
Yeah.
Kumo being one of them.
Yeah.
And they turned out to be this massive, you know, show party throwing thing. How
Yeah.
did you get connected with them, and how did you? What was your role kind of in that?
With Kumo, so yeah, I linked up with Koji. So that first club gig that I actually was part of, he booked me for that. It was with UBC, and it was like a Women's Day thing, so they wanted an all femme lineup, and they had booked me, DJ Beer, Loop, and Cece, all of who are which, I mean, DJ Beer and Loop, we're the little trio LVL, and then Cece in there too, all amazing friends of mine, and I don't know, I think me and Koji just, you know, connected from that, and then as the live stream era started, he's like, I'm doing this thing, Friday Function.
Yeah.
And he was looking to build his Kumo team, and he talked to me about it and what their goals were, and I'm like,
That sounds
this
sick.
sounds up my alley. So
Yeah.
I started working with them with their live streams. I was one of their resident DJs. I'd help with, you know, the social media and the marketing and everything, really. As a team, we wore many hats.
Yeah.
So
everybody just kind of has to jump in, especially when you're renegade. It's COVID, everything's closed. You do what you can. Right?
absolutely. So yeah, we kind of formed a little team. We'd help each other, you know, plan these events, find venues, book DJs, and it became like a little family. And I like that.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And then slightly intoxicated events also. I feel like it was kind of while I was doing things with Kumo, with SIE, I was also kind of similar, doing the same thing with them. I was also
This is all still during the pandemic times.
Yeah. I was a frequent DJ on their streams,
Very
and
cool.
yeah, they would throw these little mini festivals and stuff,
Yeah.
and I'd perform at them, and yeah, it was a time.
Yeah.
And through that, I became connected with both the crews, and they're still all great friends of mine today,
Yeah.
who I still
Yeah.
collaborate with frequently.
Definitely.
So-
Yeah, the friendship is there, collaboration is there. There's so many future things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the, I mean, we've said it before, you know, I've always say that, you know, COVID was a net negative for sure on almost all metrics. But one of the things that at least our community really did was step up to the plate, especially a lot of the younger crews really stepped up to the plate. And, you know, once we realized that things were not as dangerous as they seemed, you know, throwing bush raves and all these other warehouse parties and stuff especially near the end of it, and things really there were times where we could find there was 2 or 3 parties a night
That were
happening that were
excellent, full of the Vancouver's best
and all
DJs.
packed,
Yeah.
all packed, all great, and not expensive, and you know, and a lot of these crews are still they made their name at that time, and they're still doing their thing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think one thing that's actually we haven't touched on is the quality of DJs just exploded.
Yes.
Which is insane. We haven't seen that many people, and I think it was due to partly the amount of shows that were able to happen, the amount of times that everybody got booked, and also the live streams that were happening too.
Yes,
Right?
I was gonna say I found that a lot of the DJs who really kind of started to come up during COVID, a lot of them now are playing some huge festivals.
Yeah.
And
yourself included.
oh me, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's crazy that these DJs who back then were, maybe before the pandemic and were still, you know, not gang booked for as much as they'd like. Now they're hot names.
Yeah,
It's amazing to see. Because like you said, they were part of these collectives. They'd play frequent parties, like Vantek's another one who popped up during the pandemic, who you often saw. They'd had their little roster and they'd do frequent parties. They built their brand, built their
Locations,
fan base,
Yeah.
and now
They've got
Vantek
two
books.
different locations, which is incredible.
They book the biggest techno names for sure.
Yeah.
So like,
Easily, hands down. So I guess before COVID, how did you kind of get into DJing? You kind of said through university. You went to university at UBC.
yeah. So actually, it's funny. Like people always said to me, "You'd be such a good DJ. You'd be such a good DJ." You know, like
Because
everything.
you know all the music genres.
Yeah.
You knew what to play at parties.
I got that. Are we the same person?
I think so.
I used to get that all the time. Like, anyway, go ahead. This is about you,
like-
not about me.
Maybe twins separate at birth or something. They could.
Yeah.
It's about all of us. But we, like I said, people were like, "Oh, you'd be great," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, really okay." Like I thought about it. I never really, dipped my toe in, but I took their comments, stuck them in the back of my head, and then at the student building at UBC, they had like a clubs day, and they had EDM club popped up.
Okay.
UBC. I'm like, okay.
Forget sororities. I'm going to the EDM
Oh no,
club.
that was literally my mentality. Everyone's
Yeah.
like, join a sorority, and I'm like,
No.
I'll not.
Bush raves at 14? Yes.
So funny.
I have a pass to them.
Yeah, oh my God. I went up to the table and they're like, yeah, we're going to offer free DJ lessons. Like show up Wednesday
amazing.
night, like I think it was 8, 9 p.m. And I'm like, yeah, registered my name. I'm like, why
Cool.
not? It's university. You're figuring out your life.
Things, new people.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember Wednesday was like my longest day of classes. It would be like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I showed up to these DJ classes like immediately after my last class ended the night, and they would teach us the basics. They had like a little DDJ controller, and they're like, okay, this is play, this is crossfader, like simple stuff like that. Yeah, and they taught us fundamentals, like how to do a mix and how to beat match and all that. I think, since it was such a long day for me, it got to a point where I was like, I'm exhausted. They were great.
That's some devotion, though, just to like even show up with the 12-hour day at school.
Oh my God, for real. They taught me the basics, and I was like, you know what? I should take this into my own hands. I bought like the exact same controller that they taught us on.
The 400 or whatever.
DJ 400 Serato. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
That one.
But I bought one of those, like reasonable price, and I would just DJ in my bedroom like all the time and mix stuff together, and I'd do it like really late, like after I'd study, like 2 a.m. I'd be like, okay, pressing the buttons. And something else I remember from the EDM club is they had these ancient CDJs. And I remember like to the point where they were using the CDs and putting them in. And I remember being
like the 1000s or something?
No, 100s
I think
even.
like
1000.
older, because like
100s
I
even.
played
Yeah.
on
100s.
some old CDJs and you
Yeah.
could still plug in a USB at least, but
Right.
they're like, okay, and this is what the club standard is, and I'm like, you would like, this is what I need to do as a club DJ, like bring
Bring
CDs
my
and-
CDs.
I don't know if that's what they exactly said it,
Bring
but
my
they were
cassette
like,
players too, like.
they're like, this is how CDJs work, and they put the CD in, and I'm like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
I think it kind of scared me away. I'm like, I don't want to touch that.
No,
Yeah.
that's a lot of technology. Like, we
And
love
is
the
it
music.
was it because there's difference between was it CDs with CD format or was it MP3 format? Because then it's like, okay, if it's a CD with CD format, that's like 12 to 14 tracks
Right.
versus an MP3 CD could hold, hundreds.
Yeah.
So it's like, you could have a USB equivalent on one disc potentially.
Yeah.
But if it's like
good question. I
CD,
didn't
actual
think
CD
about that.
format, then
I
you're like,
didn't
oh,
think.
this is my Tiesto CD, this is my Vici CD,
Here's
or this is
my
my techno,
Britney
you know what I mean?
Spears.
Just like, exactly like,
Oh my God. The tiny details are above me,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
just remember that it was like a silver CDJ, like for reference.
yeah, it could have been any one of them. But
Yeah. And I go
especially
home.
going from laptop too, where you've got like everything, your whole catalog's right there. You got the waveforms on the top. You're like, oh, this is no worries here.
And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But then, I practiced on that little controller and I got better. And then I eventually started, playing at, I worked at Yaletown Brewery for like years. And the DJ there, he's like, I only need some days off. And then I told him like through conversation that I was learning how to DJ. And then one night me and coworkers were having some drinks after work and he's like, oh, like, here,
Try 'em out.
half an hour.
You're like, oh, this little old USB, why not?
Yeah, it wasn't CJ's. He had like, I think he had a tractor or something.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
I just played and he's like, wow, like you're actually good. Like, why don't you take over some nights?
Yeah.
And then I started playing there on Saturdays and literally my first gig ever was 6 hours long. It was like a 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. like pub night.
Marathon set. If
Wow.
that is an initiation, I don't know what is.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
you
like
play
we're-
every song in your catalog. Like,
Literally.
Oh, girl, you could DJ?
Here you
Like,
go.
here's 6 hours. So really trying to test me. But I think
Wow.
that made me a bit of a warrior. Like sometimes I play Gorgomish sets till 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Sometimes I play these festival raves till
yeah.
very early in the morning. It's
Sure.
and a lot of people can't do that. But
No, it's
Oh
hard.
no, my back hurts
That
after about an hour and a half. I'm
level
just like,
of concentration, like the control of the DJs, the audience, you know, while you're DJing.
So yeah, I did a few of those, and then I just played a couple bars and pubs around, and then eventually, I remember me and DJ Beer were like hanging out, and she was doing the same thing. She was doing like bars and pubs and stuff, and she's like, I think it's time, like, I'm gonna rent some CDJs. I think we need to learn these CDJs. And I remember she rented CDJs, and I'm like, I'll come over and jam. And I remember we were practicing, and I was like, these are, like, it was the Nexus 2s or something, or the 2000s. I'm like, why are these not what I remember them? These aren't the ancient dinosaur things I remember.
Yeah.
I'm like, this actually, like, I don't know, I got my groove, it plugged in the USB.
it seems a lot more intuitive. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that first club gig at Levels, I went on the CDJs, and I was like, okay, like I probably definitely had some beat matching issues, but
As we all do.
I did better than I thought. Yeah. And I was like, wow, okay, this is CDJs are gonna be the norm for me now. Yeah. So goes all y'all watching, if you think you can do something. Like,
You can. You
I
really
learned
can.
I learned CDJs when I thought I couldn't learn CDJs. So
And here we are.
and now I'm like, ooh,
Booked on
like,
festival
I wish
lineups.
I owned CDJs. It's I love them.
Well, you know, the technology is half of it, but like the artistry is the other half.
Yes.
You know, so it's like,
Absolutely.
okay, you're gonna. Have
You want to
a
be
couple
you just want to
beat
get to the point where you're
matching
comfortable with it and it's not a obstruction.
issues. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what
It's
we were
not
talking
a
about last
hindrance.
week with
You're not
Francesco Rosa.
Yeah.
you're not building a car. You're you know, you're jamming, you're putting on a show, you know what the effects do, as opposed to let's see how this sounds.
What is
Yeah.
this?
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see how this sounds. Let's see how this.
Right. The-
Trial and error though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I have a RX3 at home, so I get a pretty
Yes.
decent experience there. But at the same time, I'm very spoiled on that.
I have the
You know?
RX2. I feel you.
So like
Yeah.
whenever,
CDJs on a controller.
yeah, well even then, like if I even use an RX2, I'm like, you know, or CDJ 2000s versus a 3000, I'm like, I don't know if I like these.
Yeah. All right. Like the
Yeah,
RX3.
I'm very
it's-
spoiled on that thing. So I mean, but it is a lot of fun to use, and
It's funny, all the buttons are in like slightly different places, and I feel like my muscle memory is always just like, okay, which one are we on? And I have to be like, oh, okay, and I flipped out the script for this one. Okay, here
No,
we go.
for real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even like switching between 2000s and
To
Nexus
3000s.
2
Oh,
and
then
3000s.
you throw in an Opus, and you're just like, oh, I give up.
What? Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, the
V10 versus
Opus.
900.
I don't know if I've played on an Opus.
I've never touched one.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that have kind of like the
Yeah.
bottom that.
Yeah,
Curves
it's
it
flares out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like very fancy. It's like
Yeah.
it's like a Cadillac.
Technically,
It's
the
like
last
Ferrari
thing.
of-
They're pretty.
Yeah, it's technically the last thing Pioneer made that's still called Pioneer.
That's not Alpha Theta.
Alpha Theta is the dumbest,
Sorry.
rebrand
Yeah,
I've
sort of
ever
those who.
seen.
If Alpha Theta is watching this right now.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
hope
they're
so.
definitely tuning
Pioneer.
You're not a frat.
Industry-
Stop trying.
It's imagine a company like
that.
Kleenex or Q-Tip changing their name.
in. Like, no, why?
Like, why?
Like Band-Aid being like,
Yeah.
we are 8 of the band. Like,
Yeah, it's like shut up. Exactly.
It would
like,
be.
you're
you
trying
know?
too
Yeah.
hard. You know?
Oh my God.
Well,
So anyways,
Yeah.
gear aside, love the gear, obviously. But the artistry of it, when you're going into gigs, has your method of preparing tracks, putting together a set list, has it changed? Has it evolved? What do you do now?
Oh
what do
yeah.
you do then?
I feel like I don't remember my exact like style of putting together a set back then, but I feel like I would back then I'd more just find all the tunes of a similar genre because back then I didn't have near as many tracks as I do now. Now I have like So many. But back then, I'd be like,
Yeah.
okay, here's all my like bass songs, here's my house songs, and I'd kind of see what's maybe like trending, like remixes that people might like, and putting them together, sorting them by key and stuff like that. Whereas now, I feel like I have like a little system down where I spend a lot of time. Most of my time is spent looking for tracks. Like I'm on my SoundCloud, I'm on my Beatport, I'm on my Bandcamp, and even like everything. And I'm just like, okay, what tracks? Like,
Hunting for the good tracks.
what can I find? You know,
Yeah.
find those hidden gems that maybe only have like 100 views or something. And
Yeah.
I gather those. That takes a lot of time. And then once I have maybe like about say 100 altogether, then I'll be like, okay, a 1 hour set, maybe 30 to 40 tracks or whatever, and then I'll narrow them down to my favorites.
Which ones go together?
Arrange them. I usually arrange by key and kind of vibe. Like I'll usually start my set maybe with, depends on the genre. I might start like really hype to get a crowd, but I'll also, you know, sometimes I'll start a bit easy and then bring it up to like a climax in the middle and then end with like something melodic at the end that people could sing along
Give
to.
them a good treat at the end.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I'm all about my like captivating ender track. Like I feel like an opening track, okay, like you could do a chill opener, you could do a hype opener, but it's like that closing track. It's really like you want people to cheer for you to
Yeah.
an absolute banger. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
so yeah, it usually takes me about an hour to arrange them in an order that I want. I mean, based on however long the set is. So an hour for an hour set, an hour and a half for whatever. And then I put hot cues in probably for about another hour, and then that's my set. I've gotten like pretty fast at it.
Yeah.
Especially once you've been doing it and you've say like for the hot cue step, right? Like you're gonna have a bunch of tracks already done that,
Yes.
so you don't necessarily have to keep doing that for every time you do it for every track. So
Exactly.
yeah,
That
it's
homework, though, is
yeah.
really key.
yeah. And once you get a feel, like I know this is gonna go here, I know this is gonna go there, boom, boom, boom. You just get fast at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you know like the phrasing of a track too, you know, like for example, like techno, they have like the intro part. You put a hot cue there. They have part after the drop. You could put a cue there. Maybe like somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like towards
It's
the
very
end
formulaic.
when the beat gets more uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you can
house
kind
is
of
similar. Whereas like bass, I find I'll do put a hot cue maybe like a bit before the drop if I want to do like a quick transition right before, like build up and then quick switch. So yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
guess DJing too, with all the different genres that you cover, you're gonna have different techniques for all of them.
oh, and I do. It's
Yeah.
funny that it's become muscle memory to me now, but like people could ask me, "Oh, what's your trick for these certain genres?" And I feel like I have a different answer for like
Oh
every
yeah,
genre.
for sure. It's just so
Yeah.
different DJing from one genre to the other. 100%.
Oh, yeah. So I guess what would be like what are two opposite extremes? Like you, for example, got like techno over here and like,
Yeah.
or like what would be two different, like totally different mixing styles for you?
I find anything with like lyrics versus non-lyrics, that's probably the biggest contrast because
Yeah.
people could easily say, oh, like drum and bass and techno, but it's like at the end of the day, it's kind of similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if like, let's say I'm mixing like a Jersey club track that has a lot of vocals overlaying it, vocal chops and stuff, and versus like a techno track that has like nothing, it's very different because you got to watch out if you're mixing two tracks with vocals.
Yeah. You don't want them clashing.
Exactly. And
Overlapping.
that's one thing that, like, I like to play tracks with vocals, but there's some tracks that have vocals throughout the whole tune.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I
And it
find
never ends, so there's nowhere to blend it in. Yeah. I hate
Yeah.
that
What do you
too.
do in that case?
in that case, I'll often like either if the track is short enough, I'll play the whole thing out and then do kind of like a reverb out and effects, or I'll do like a loop. I'll loop a certain part of the track that's like a repetitive part and then bring the next tune in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, if I know the track well enough that I know that the vocals trail off to the end, the next track I have will not be a vocal track so that it can blend
Blend it over
blend the
top.
end of it into the beginning of the other one.
yeah.
But sometimes if I don't know, oh, this has vocals, I'm going to see if they have and then they don't, and then you're sometimes like, oh crap, it's clashing. What do I do? Got to find a tiny little part to loop or whatever,
Put one bar
or just
in,
quick
you're just
quick
like,
it quick out like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like sometimes with like, I mean, I'm just going off on a tangent here, but sometimes with zoo tracks, because I like to play zoo so often, like sometimes that track will end off without a point to like blend in, and then you literally just gotta play that one, start the next one at the right tempo, and off you go, right? Like, yeah.
It all
And
works
sometimes
out.
that works, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. Yeah, some tunes even like, or the vocals will be like second verse will be something totally different. So like, okay, I guess I've started the second verse now. I guess I have to play it all instead of,
Yeah.
you know.
You're just
Yeah,
jump
that's
ahead.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you really gotta listening ahead to your tracks.
Yeah, know your tracks for sure. It helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was saying off camera, like I was playing last night, I was just practicing a bunch of songs I just downloaded, and some of those mixes were not good.
They need a little bit of
They were
work.
just not. I mean, I was definitely not trying to do safe mixing.
Yeah.
I was really getting after it, but it did not work a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But then, with all those transitions and like experimentation during COVID and the live streams, I'm sure you learned a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I
That
feel like on
too.
those live streams, they like, it was a way for me to show my skill. I felt like I was showing off to an audience because I'm like, okay,
You never
who
know
knows who's watching,
Yeah.
and they're doing it a lot. I would plan my sets for these streams, and
Yeah.
some people just show up, but I treat them like a whole gig, and I really learned how to make and craft sets from that. And even like nowadays, I still like to plan my sets as much as I can. There'll be some shows I'll be like, oh, like if I really don't know what the crowd is gonna like, I'll be like, okay, I have a playlist of like maybe this vibe at the start, this vibe in the middle, this vibe at the end. But
Yeah.
I really like to have an idea of the order I'm gonna play things.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you stream more or less often, or the same amount as during COVID after, or?
I don't stream
At all anymore? Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
feel like I wish I had time for that, because like I see what y'all do, and it's so
Yeah.
fun. Like you.
Please join us whenever you can.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I used to do guest streams a lot, like even when people like Mazu would do her streams, and certain artists in the city
Yeah.
would do individual
Then you
streams.
just hang out, chill,
Yeah.
plug your USB in, have a couple
my
drinks.
God.
Like, oh, this is the best.
I guess you're playing
so
often
fun.
enough that you don't necessarily have those big breaks
It's
of
yeah,
practice and keeping warm on the skills and stuff.
it's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very. Yeah, streaming, like I think if anything, I'd maybe be able to do once a week, but even then, like getting started, you probably want to stream more times a week, right? Like
If you're gonna, if you
To
want to
really
make
pick
it,
things up, you have
yeah.
to do 3 times a week,
Yeah.
unfortunately. That's just a requirement of Twitch. And like the
Yeah.
Twitch music DJs put that much time in, so that's
Yeah.
unfortunately the standard.
yeah.
you guys hustle. Like
Yeah.
I love what you all do, and
Yeah.
it's like I see people like Jesu and Pika who are like,
Massive.
everyone knows Jesu and Pika,
Killing
right?
it.
They're
Yeah.
killing the game.
No,
so
they're incredible.
and they were
Yeah.
they've always been consistent and
Such
very
hard workers.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
I guess going back into the dance floor, you're so good at like taking people through that in like not journey per se, but journey a little bit, and also like just creating such a fun environment, getting everybody involved. What are
Yeah.
some of your techniques for kind of reining people in when they've kind of lost interest or changing the mood, or a lot of DJs kind of talk about the trust of the dance floor and earning that trust.
Yeah. So again, it kind of depends on the crowd. Like if I know, like luckily I go out enough and I've experienced a lot of these nightlife venues that I know what to expect going in. And I know what sort of crowd and what the people like there. But I find like, let's say like on Saturday, I'm playing a show for like an SFU party company. And it's funny because I've actually never played nor been to this club before.
Oh,
Elysium.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I've never been to
Yeah.
Elysium, and like I know they have had a bunch of like house music events there.
It's a good little spot.
Yeah, it looks cute. Yeah, but yeah, this crowd, they are a university crowd, but they are going for like it's a boiler room type event, so they're going for
That's a little
electronic
bit different.
music.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I feel like I'm gonna be like, okay, like play ravey stuff, but have some sing-alongs in there too. I find even for a place like a place like Gorgomish, where people, a lot of people just stumble in there and they might not know what they're getting into.
Or they just see like afters. I'm going to the afters.
Oh, I'm
Let's
going.
go. Let's
Oh,
keep
there's
our
going to
night
be
going.
rave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. There's going to be rave music. They show up and they. Sometimes I'll see people sitting off to the side on the couches. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's late at night. They're tired. But I might play a track that's less minimal and might have like a vocal sample in there, like something with a bit more of like a pep in the step.
Yeah.
I
Get
find
re-energized again.
Yeah.
I guess something familiar might get people sometimes more engaged, I guess.
Yeah, I find like uppity energy goes a long way too. Like as much as there might be some people who swear by like, oh, I play chill stuff, I play melodic stuff. Even if you do play chill stuff, like something that has, like a cool vocal or a cool sample that is catchy. I feel like that'll bring people back as opposed to the same drum beat all the time.
Sticking to the same minimal genre.
Yeah, like minimal, like love minimal. I listen to it all the time, but I feel like there needs to be something different to bring those people back.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the average person is not going to have the palate for it.
Yeah.
They're like, why is nothing happening? Well, there's a lot happening. You just don't understand it. So
Yeah.
You're not listening deep enough.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, that being said, I'm not a fan of really minimal myself, but that's okay.
Like play that minimal, but
Yeah.
like I said, get like throw in a different melody in there.
Yeah.
Maybe and get people okay, get them up there.
Yeah.
Get them up there. Oh, the set.
You'd be surprised.
It's getting more lit now,
Sometimes there's sober people in the crowd.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And
And
are there to dance and have fun and
Yeah.
enjoy themselves. Yeah.
and I find those are the people whose trust you gotta
Yeah.
gain more because they're there. They're there for
Yeah.
the music, the vibe. That you're like, okay, this is a little tough cookie I gotta crack.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah. And kind of dig in deeper, try out a couple of tracks,
yeah.
see where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's my secret.
Yeah.
I like to use a lot of vocal samples in my set. So a catchy sample that people might know, like from the 90s or even something modern day, but
What's your favorite, your favorite genre to play? Like, what do you play at home when you just want to listen to music to yourself?
oh my God, literally everything.
Yeah.
Like what was I, last night I was listening to just like, I don't know, I was listening to BBC radio and it was all like, kind of like popular electronic jams, but if I had to pick, like, people ask me this question all the time and I never know. I can never say one genre,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's a draw between techno and like jungle drum and bass.
Yeah.
Those are my
Yeah.
two at the top, followed by, these are also like my favorite genres to play too.
Sure, yeah.
Like footwork, Jersey club, and like anything with break beats. I'd say those are my guilty, well not, I'm not guilty at all, but my pleasures.
The pleasures. The ones
And
that
I
bring you
also,
most joy.
I find like on my road trips when I drive, I'll often put on like a groovy house set. Like I'll put on Defected radio all the time. And that's my driving
always a
vibe.
good go-to. Yeah, because it's vibey.
I love my soulful house. So
Just the best.
it really depends on my day. Like
Yeah.
I'll probably go home
The
now.
true
and
multi-genre person, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Genre
I
agnostic.
can't. Someone had a gun to my head right now. Pick a genre.
Like, dubstep, what? No.
Find someone else.
You'll have to take me out. See
Yeah.
you. Bye.
I'm kind of the same, but I for the most part, deep house and progressive is where I lean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
Dope.
very
Yeah.
heavily into that.
Nice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess with the community aspect of things too, you've created your own collective, LVL.
LVL, yes.
So how did that start?
Oh my
Where
God.
was that born?
Well, yeah, so the three of us, like me, Sage, Sky, DJ Beer and Loop, we're really tight. Like I've been good friends with them for a minute and we just, I don't know, we found we played a lot of the same shows. We'd be on a lot of similar lineups. Our music styles, the three of us are like, have our differences, but we'd often be like, okay, like we could all play bass, we could all play house, we could all play breaks.
Yeah.
Like,
You're all very multifaceted, very multi-genre.
yeah, so we found ourselves on a lot of those lineups, then we got closer because we all have like similar interests and stuff. And then one day we just we did like a back-to-back and
Or back to back to back. Right?
literally
Yeah.
B3B.
Yeah.
And then, so our first like official, the name LVL, like I don't know how I actually don't know how we came about that, but I'll talk about that in a bit. The first time we ever played a set with the three of us was at Altitude 2 years ago. And like they actually put LVL on the flyer because at that time we had came up with a name. We hadn't performed, we had just kind of like jammed out together and we're like, let's make this a thing. Like we're like our styles fit so well together, and we found that we all just our mixing styles were similar. We knew how to create a vibe. And then we played this set at Altitude, and like I said, like no one knows who. They see the LVL on the flyer, they're like, oh, like
don't know
who's that?
new
but still, like
DJ.
we're playing the set and we're there, and we notice slowly people start coming. People are like, oh, what is this? This is cool. And we had like a huge crowd by the end of it because people, I guess, realized who we were and what we were doing. And
then they recognized you, they recognized DJ Beer.
Yeah.
Loop.
Yeah. So they're like, oh wow, this is a thing. And I think that was such a huge success that we're like, we should do this more.
Yes.
So SIE, they did another party in the fall where we were the headliners, and we our friend Nikki Mavrigata, she joined us for that as well, and that also was a big success. And we're like, let's go further with this. Like we should keep accepting bookings as LVL now. So we made an Instagram, we made a SoundCloud, we like put out some promo mixes, and we really just kept doing our thing. Like Red Room booked us. We've played 2 New Year's Eves in a row there now.
That's awesome.
And it's just been kind of from there. More and more people are figuring out that it's the three of us.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we know who they are individually, so
they must be even 3 times as great together.
The power of three. That's what I've been saying. You know, good things come in threes.
That's right. Yeah.
But we often like I said, the three of us are all kind of different. Like I kind of bring in a bit of like a techno ravey element. Like Sage is a trap queen, and like Sky's all about their breaks and stuff. So together we really create this level of hype that is not often seen around here. So we thought it was different. We thought we could captivate an audience, and it's working.
Yeah.
Like this summer we're playing a bunch of festivals, and we
Name them. Let's go.
Name them. Okay.
Tell us.
We're plugging right now.
I'll go in order. Well, Faded is
park.
the next big one.
Huge.
We're very excited for that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's a huge booking.
Oh my God, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're opening up the Forest stage, which is the bass stage on day one.
Cool.
So if you like bass, get there early.
Get here.
Yeah.
What time does it start?
Oh my God, I think
5:30?
Faded starts pretty early.
Yeah, it's a day. It's kind of a day
2
party.
or
Still.
3.
Yeah, it's a day party.
It's Friday.
Yeah, I think.
No, literally, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So people are gonna.
Yeah,
need
it's Friday,
to...
Saturday, not Saturday, Sunday, which is kind of bizarre.
very
Yeah,
strange.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's also like the most expensive time to book DJs.
Yeah.
So they didn't save any money
It's a
there.
very expensive ticket too.
Oh yeah.
But
Definitely worth it with that
So
lineup,
worth
I'd
it.
say. We actually have a show at the end of June that it's not announced yet. So we'll stay tuned for a little support set that
Like
we
and
have going
subscribe.
on end of June before Faded.
Yeah.
That's like our next show, I'd say.
Very
And then
cool.
after Faded, we have Bass Coast.
Nice.
Like the week after. And that was literally, when we got that booking, we were like,
oh my
That-
goodness, that is a huge booking.
oh my God, thank you. That had
Because
been
it's
our
like it's like your spirit festival almost, like the way that the way that you and your crew like represent yourselves, how that manifests in an event. For sure, it'd be like Bass Coast.
That is just such a natural fit.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, I've definitely said this, but we've all, like, we've said that if we were to, like, curate a lineup, it would be, like, the librarian, Max Ulis, everyone who's behind that, like, the lineup they curate is just so top-notch. They have everything. And, like, DJs that are, I often think, quite underrated in the grand scheme of the worldwide electronic scene.
For sure.
And they pick these artists, and they throw down, and people discover these artists they've never heard before.
Yeah.
So to be on a lineup where, with these artists that are like known for their skill and
So
their
high
selections and their like not just like they headline in Vegas every weekend. No, like these
they're
are
just
people.
not just a big name.
Yeah, these are people who have actually been thought out well, and you know they really make a point at Bass Coast to cover like all the different avenues of music, like diversity too. They have a lot of all genders, all sorts of different backgrounds.
Representation.
Yeah, so it's it's awesome. Like these people that don't often get heard, they get this platform. And I've even seen a few homies of mine on that lineup that, you know, they might, like some people might not know them, but they are on the Bass Coast lineup, and I'm very happy that they're getting that recognition.
They're getting seen, they're getting heard.
That's two big flexes. What's next on the schedule?
Yeah. That's very
Oh my God. But yeah, that's been our dream for the last while to get Bass
It's like
Coast.
right after Faded too, so it's like
oh my goodness.
Then we have a bit of time off, and then I'm trying to think. We haven't been like the Altitude lineup's not announced yet, but we will be at Altitude. And then Electric Love. Ooh, actually, I forget which one comes. I think Electric Love is before Altitude.
Okay, yeah.
So
but you're hitting a couple good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's gonna be good. So very fun
you guys
summer.
get to do it all together too, and have
Yes.
that experience. So I think one thing that I hear from a lot of DJs is that it's so isolating,
Lonely.
and very lonely, and you go traveling all by yourself. You don't get to share the experience, but you have the three of you.
Oh, exactly. And we all like I said, they're two of my best friends. So it's never a dull moment. Like we have so much fun, like road tripping, traveling, going to these places in British Columbia we've never seen.
Yeah.
Like we had never played in the Kamloops area before. And we were there last week. We're like, oh, this is fun, you know? The scene's really nice. We get to see different parts of BC.
I have a couple of silly questions.
Ooh,
Okay.
let's go.
So as a trio, do you guys ask for or do you guys get booked for longer set times? Or are you still playing in like whatever the slots are?
It's like Bass Coast, we're actually playing an hour and a half set.
Okay.
So I think, I don't know if the fact that we're a trio maybe contributed to that, because people at Bass Coast often get an hour.
Yeah.
We're playing an hour and a half. They're Faded, I believe we're playing an hour. We often get an hour set, but I feel like some places will give us like an hour and a half.
Because there are three.
Maybe because there's three of us. But we make it work. Like we don't, like we play like one. You know how back-to-back DJs, they often will be like, I'll play 2 tracks or 3, and then you play the next 3.
Yeah.
So we're not standing there the whole time. If that were the case, it would be one of us playing, the other two
Typical hyping.
standing back there the whole time. It doesn't really look cohesive. So I find what we do, you know, like let's say I'm transitioning into one of Sky's tracks. It's like I'm transitioning in, you know, they might be like bringing an effect in, like helping me out, and then Sage on the side is helping out the crowd. Like we're always doing something during our show. So I think we've got the performance aspect down.
Yeah, definitely.
And then last week I think what we want to build with the whole collective aspect. So like we're the 3 like OG members, like we're the ones who like do the shows, the performances and all that, but we want to make a greater collective where we start throwing our own parties. Maybe we make like a label out of it, and the whole basis is that like we want to make it like a bass femmes thing where we collaborate with as many like-minded femme artists as we can. So we last week had our friend Annika Schmanny come and sing a few of her tracks during our set.
Cool, yeah.
And that was amazing. Like people were like, they were unreleased tracks that she hasn't played out before, and people were like, what are those? Like, we tried to Shazam. She's like, oh,
nope.
Unreleased IDs. So, it gives that little different element that you don't often see in a set.
A little bit unique.
Yeah. How does like prepping for a set that you're going to play with other people, how do you change, or do you change what you do, or like do you guys talk about how that's going to play out or what your ideas are?
Oh, yeah. So what we do every Thursday, we go to the studio, and that's kind of our time, like 5 to 9 every Thursday. We plan out sets, we like scheme like what we're going to do next. We, work on production. We just kind of work together on ideas and such. And with sets, I find we'll often sit there and be like, okay, we talk about the vibe that we want to go, and we come to like a general consensus, and like we may not all be like, okay, we know the exact idea of what's going to happen, but we'll often start with like, okay, who has a good opening track? And so
everybody brings their tracks, and you'll just kind of put them all together.
Yeah, so we'll play a few of those and be like, okay, we like this one, and then okay, who's got a good track to follow? And we'll come up with like an order. It might be like me first, then Sage, then Sky, whatever. Okay, that's our order for the set. And then for the rest of the set and for the rest of practice, we'll be like, okay, your turn now, and we kind of keep testing our tracks, adding them to rotation, then we build a set list. So yeah, and same thing, who is a good ender track? We might start from the bottom and then work around that ender track. So we often find a good opener first. But I've noticed that our music algorithms have gotten really similar nowadays. Like we used to really have not have a really hard time, but we used to be like, okay, we all are bringing a different vibe to the table.
Yeah.
But now we're showing up to the studio and it's like, I downloaded that track too. Nice.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like we all really clearly were merging
syncing,
and owning in on a sound, I guess, that works.
Yeah, that works so good. I guess, well, obviously there's so many good sides to working with friends, colleagues, that sort of thing. What are some of the challenges that you guys have kind of overcome within working together because you are so close, because you are traveling constantly together?
I'd say scheduling's been the main thing. Like finding a time when all three of us could be there.
Yeah. More schedules, harder.
Yeah, but we, at the end of the day, we're like, you know what? There's three of us. If one person has to miss, we could just show up as two. Like it may not be what the promoter wanted, but it works. And two people will show up and play the set. And even like certain things such as like money and payment and stuff, I find with three of us, we might not make as much money as we would with like an individual set, because we're like, splitting the fees and stuff, but like we'll get paid a bit more than, one person will get paid by himself, but still.
Because it's divided 3 ways.
Yeah, it'll still, there'll be sometimes it will still come out as less than what
For sure,
is the average.
You're not making millions off this.
Well, for now at least, but fingers crossed. But that's been the one thing that's like, okay. Like people are like, oh, well, they're a group, they're one act, so, and I get it. Like people have to book a bunch of artists and we're literally one act, that's three people, so.
But if that's part of the appeal, then, that should warrant extra money for it. Maybe not 3 individual fees at once, but it's like if let's just say like a normal hour is $200, but you're a group of 3 and that's a unique selling point. If you made $400, that would make sense maybe, and I'm just throwing out abstract numbers, but that's not 600, but it's better than 200 split 3 ways,
or 150.
Right? We'll like negotiate
of
with
course.
collectives and stuff like that.
And obviously you make the most and they make, no, just kidding.
No, oh my God, I could never. No. We're all equals. And we're all very, I think the fact that we're all just, we're all on the same page.
Teamwork, let's go.
We're all very open communication. If one of us doesn't like what's happening, we'll speak up. So it's like smooth sailing. But I'd say those 2 things are the things that we've had difficulties.
For sure.
Like a bit of a little hiccup with.
You've had to work through.
It's an obstacle that's had to be jumped over, kind of thing. Not necessarily a bad thing, just a thing.
No, for real.
Just something to keep in mind. And then I guess too, with the ethos of the collective, what is kind of something that you're trying to pave the way for, set down in stone, make a statement about? Is there something about the collective that you really want to see Vancouver kind of take on a lot more?
I think just more like femmes in bass music, because I even noticed this at the festival we were at the past weekend. It was very predominantly male lineup. Like bass music in general is like a guys club, I feel. So by seeing,
I think that's starting to change though.
It is. Even with techno, I'm seeing a lot more.
I mean, some of my favorite acts that I've seen of both those genres this last 12 months are all female producers.
Which is awesome.
So it's like, just in bass, like Zingara and Alley Cat were both insane. They're both popping off. They're small still, but like I feel like they're meteorically rising. And then
big things.
We'll talk about I just saw Stella Bossi and Sarah Landry, techno acts, both women, just murdering it like right now, like huge international acts. So there's some stuff happening for sure, and this city's got a good representation. There's U3, there's Schming, there's like some other stuff going on too, in that scene. So it's coming, and I think that it's people like you paving the way, showing that it can be done, showing it can be fun, showing you don't have to sell sexuality to do it. It's cool. It's very cool.
No, we love
and
it.
exactly what you said. Like we we play the tracks that we like, and we throw in our little flavor of performance aspect to it too, and we show people that, okay, like you can do this with a group as well. You can collaborate with others. And like we've said, the Vancouver scene, we're lucky that people are so supportive and they collaborate well, but there may be some other scenes in the world that are more competitive, and we hope that these people could see that, okay, collaboration is the way to go, and it's how we will
for everything.
Rising tide raises all ships. You
how
know,
we'll
it's
move forward. And
Yeah.
even like people like Schming, we've played a lot of shows with her too, and CC too, like a lot of people a lot of other femmes who play bass who, you know, we all just want to gas each other up and give each other the same opportunities. So we hope with these events that we throw in the future that we could make that happen. And like not just like bass, like trap, dubstep, but like everything, like house, techno and stuff too. So
Getting those opportunities. Well, you have to be there for it, and you clearly are. You're stepping up to the plate. It's really cool.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So I guess if you could kind of get yourself like 5 years into the future and look at past you, what you've done, where you've been, what you've played, what you've created, what are some of the big ideas, big goals, big things that you want to accomplish?
So I definitely said, you know, throwing our own regular parties. A record label would be something I've always like. I feel like that's more of like a me retiring as a DJ thing. Like if I got to a point where I was like, oh, touring's tiring, maybe I could like manage my own label or something like that. I feel like that might be more of like a
end goal
20-year plan or something, or even longer. I want to still DJ in 20 years. But those, I want to have tracks out, like a lot of tracks out. I'm still working on that. I don't have any releases out, nor does LVL yet, but I've been moving faster in the production stuff with LVL than we have been individually. Because again, you know, power of three. It's three brains that we're working together on something. I'd say that. I definitely want to be touring around the world. That would be ideal. Because right now I feel like I'm BC. I'd like to go to Canada and then maybe North America and then hopefully the world. So that's...
Are there any like plans in place, like things that you want to like reach out to people or managers to take on? Like, do you have any plans in place or like ideas how to get there?
Not really. I feel like just keep doing what I've been doing.
Start with the collective, see what happens kind of thing.
Yeah.
On huge lineups, huge festivals.
And
so that's gonna get some attention.
Oh my God, hope so.
Yeah.
But I often one thing I really like to do is I like to travel and go to these like big music events. So like I was just in Miami Music Week and I met a lot of cool people there.
Yeah.
And I even got to like play a little bit during the Monstercat event. That was unreal.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah. I was in Amsterdam for Amsterdam Dance event like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I've been to Movement in Detroit. I'd like to like go to EDC maybe next year. Like I like going to big music events and seeing what that's all about, and then seeing how these different like music events operate. I kind of get an idea for what sorts of shows I like to play, what sort of
bring
avenue I
little
wanna go down.
aspects of that home. Yeah. Is there anything out in the wild that you've kind of seen that you're like, ooh, gotta try that. Ooh, want to do that.
Yeah, like I mean EDC, like I said.
You've never been?
Never been EDC, no.
Yeah.
I want to go to Berlin really bad. Never been to Berlin.
Oh my God, Berlin's amazing.
That's
my mecca.
for sure. Definitely that'll be a like no sleep week for sure.
Yeah.
UK too. Like I know people often say, oh, the UK, like it's all the cities are the same, but like for my type of music, I like, okay, London obviously, but like Bristol, I want to check out Bristol.
Oh, for sure.
They have a really good bass scene there, and apparently they say everyone there's a DJ. Like you go
So
there.
it's Vancouver.
Very Vancouver. Yeah.
Right?
Essentially.
Yeah. So like I'd like to check out there, but even other places like Leeds, like Liverpool, places that have these little scenes that, you know, the UK.
I mean, the UK has some insane shows.
Probably the
like,
mecca.
Don't let anybody shit talk the UK. There's some insane shows there. There's like some great festivals there.
When I was there, they were like, oh, you should have gone up to Manchester. They've got an incredible scene in Manchester.
Yeah.
I'm like, where isn't an incredible scene? Like,
they're giving
UK has some great festivals.
Ireland
like some big,
too,
great
even.
festivals.
I even see here like Vancouver has a ton of Irish people, and I noticed
for sure.
I played a festival couple weeks ago, Murmur Fest, and they had a big Irish community, a bunch of Irish DJs, and even I met a handful of Irish people at Foundation the other week too.
Yeah.
Like they clearly have a big electronic fan base.
Community. They
so,
love EDM. They love going out. They love having a good time.
Yeah.
I think I could be wrong. Leave Us Lost has a huge Irish community too.
That too, yeah. I find a lot of people I've met Leave Us Lost are from elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So,
collective of.
oh, I'm excited for Leave Us Lost to come back.
Yeah.
I need to remember to go to a few. Last year, I feel like I didn't go to any because I was so busy, but
Yeah.
and they always fall on long weekends. So
yeah.
I need to Leave Us Lost.
Be in town for those.
Yes, they're the best.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I guess like with starting out DJing and seeing people come in up in the industry, especially femme presenting people too, do you have any words of wisdom, any suggestions, any directions, any advice for your younger self?
Yeah, well, I always say, and I stay true to this as well, is that like always play what's gonna make you happy. Because I notice this a lot. People tend to play what they think is cool and what they think. Oh, okay, like everyone's playing.
I'll get booked if I play this.
Yeah, I'll get booked if I play that. Or everyone's now playing like TikTok techno music. Like I'll make sure to incorporate that in my set. But at the end of the day, I found I've been the happiest and I've played my better sets when I really stayed true to my sound and played what I want to play. And like, hey, it might not be exactly what, like some people might not even know the genres they're playing. So it's best to just, take that risk and try it out, because I've had some of my most successful sets from those sets where I've played more my style as opposed to cater to everyone else. And it'll make you happier in the long run, because people at the end of the day will follow you in your journey for you. Like they're like, okay, this person has something special, and if they vibe with you, they're gonna follow you for your
If you
sound.
play what everybody else plays, anybody else can be booked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'll
Without
fall
a doubt.
into the pile of other,
Yeah.
other people of that same sound.
Yeah.
So
And then what happens when that ship sails and
Yeah, then you're left
now you don't
behind,
have an
you're like,
identity
well,
anymore?
basically my advice is and stick to it, honestly, because if you give up, then you'll never get where you want to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, oh, I'm really struggling to get where I want to be, but even those baby steps,
Yeah.
they get you far.
They add up.
Yeah, I would say if
little-
you
They
keep
really
stacking
do.
sheets of paper, each piece of paper doesn't feel like a lot, but you keep stacking them, that thing starts to grow.
Oof.
That little gig you
Snaps
played
for
to
that.
20
Wise Mason.
Nice, good.
Yeah.
That little gig you played for like 20 people, that's a gig that you may have not had last year. So
It counts.
small wins. I'm all about the small wins. And literally just do what makes you happy, because at the end of the day, you're your number one fan.
Yeah,
least
absolutely.
I think I'm my number one fan. I
You
don't know.
have to be. Well, you always said this, like, you're your favorite DJ. You have to
Yeah.
be
Yes.
your favorite DJ.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're not loving the set, you might as well
Exactly.
go home.
These are your
Yeah.
favorite tracks played the way you want them played. You should be your own favorite DJ.
And people
know.
could tell if you're enjoying yourself up there. Like, I've often had people come up to me say, like, you're always smiling up there. You always look like you're having a good time, and I am. Like, it's
Yeah.
facts. I'm never, every show I play, I'm never having a shit time. But you could tell if a DJ's up there just because they're like, oh, like
Another day, another dollar.
I'm
another
playing the
gig.
closing set and I'm exhausted, like boo-hoo.
Yeah.
Like, it's, people could read your face.
Yeah.
People could see.
Do you still get nervous?
Depends. It really depends. I feel
You
like,
think you're going to be nervous for these big festivals?
I mean, I think it'll be more adrenaline.
Yeah.
Because I find these days I often, like, it's more adrenaline than nerves, I feel. Because
Yeah.
I've done it long enough that
Yeah.
it's like, it's a job. I'm
Yeah.
like, I show up and I know what I'm doing. I know how the CDJs work. I know how to play my tracks.
Yeah.
So I think in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm confident I can do
Yeah,
it. But
for sure.
like a festival like Bass Coast or Faded, where it's my first time, I might
Yeah.
get those jitters.
And it's
We'll
it's
see.
also an achievement, right? Like
Yeah.
I think the achievement makes you more nervous than the actual doing it, because again,
right.
once you're on it, it's like, oh well, I've seen this before, I've done this before.
Yeah.
But when it's like the whole idea of like, oh, I'm playing Faded, like maybe you're more nervous prepping it, you know what I mean? Maybe you're
Yeah.
more nervous like leading up to it and stuff like that. And then you get there and you're like, oh, and then you get on there and you're like, in the moment, boom.
Yeah.
Off you go.
And I feel like that's like where LVL, that's where we're at now. We're like tomorrow we're gonna go to the studio, and I think we might like work on our like producing a little bit, but we're like, okay, let's start getting Fade and Bass Co's ideas down. Whereas with other gigs,
You just did the week before kind of thing.
it'll be like a week before kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but in our heads, like I think we're really like, we need this to be really good, but I think it's all gonna come down to like, oh, like we do this all the time. We just gotta,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, you'll do 3 or 4 times the prep, and the set will be just as good as anything else. And you'll be like, oh.
Yeah. We need a drink. Let's need
yeah.
a drink after this. Okay, well, all in a day's work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
No, it
it's
really
more
is.
of that. It's the achievement, like you said.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do you ever feel any pressure from other people or other eyeballs on you? Or do you ever feel like sometimes, like obviously, you know, the community is so supportive too. Do you ever feel like there's a little bit of rumblings or like pressure from other people?
Sometimes, if I feel like there might be like a booking agent or promoter, someone who has, you know, that they tend to favor like a certain style or something, I might be a bit more, feel a bit more pressure to play that way.
What they're
but-
asking you to play kind of thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not often. I feel like I do want to try and appease as many people as I can. Like I don't want to never get booked for a certain club again.
Genre ever again because you don't know, you didn't play what they wanted. kind of? Yeah.
Exactly. But I definitely play for the crowd. I play for the party. Like I know my assignment. I read the criteria ahead of time. But there's still sometimes that pressure where it's like, okay, this may not be something I'm really used to. Like
Comfortable with.
Well, you got C-Star's endorsement.
Approval.
Yeah. Vancouver's best DJ. Yeah.
hey girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Front of the pod.
Chrissy.
Hey,
Hearts.
girl, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
We-
thanks for tuning in.
Oh, yes, bless. Like last year I played a deep house show, and I never played deep house.
Yeah.
And I got asked to play. This guy's like, "Oh, you can play anything." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll play deep house, sure." And I enjoyed it. Like I played a great set, but I remember I was like, "Oh my god!" Like if I felt more pressure to find the perfect tracks in my head. I'm like, are these tracks that everyone in the deep house community's heard before? Are these
Because
like
you're not so familiar with
yeah,
that.
I was
But
less.
that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if people know the songs and they can sing along, you know,
Sure.
I don't know, like it's as long as it's
That you're
arranged
playing the
well. I don't know. I
favorites.
mean,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of pressure with DJs, especially when they work regulars, to always have new unreleased stuff, and it's just like, you know, if I go to a Cascade show and he doesn't play I Remember, I'm gonna burn the stage down. So it's like, you know, that song's 15 years old.
I Remember is my favorite song of all time. Also.
I mean, I'm just saying, but you know what I mean? Like, so it's like
I better be hearing that.
playing songs that you've heard before is okay if
Yeah.
they're sick.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's what a
Like,
lot of people
I think
forget,
there's a lot
too.
of like I know like a lot of DJs stress out about like I need to have like 80% never heard before tracks or something. It's like
Yeah, no.
yeah.
I find like I really like to I have an addiction to downloading music, so I'm like, oh okay, I feel like I have enough new tracks to maybe make up like 80% of my
Yeah.
set of new tracks, but I'll take note of what tracks in past sets did really good. And I'll be like, ooh, like the other day at the True Sound and Era Party Eclipse, I played this Evanescence remix, like Bring Me to Life, and
Yeah.
everyone loved that because like that's a sing-along
Yeah.
tune that
Everybody knows it
and
from all
wake
walks
me
of
up
life.
inside. Yeah, like everyone knew that, and I took note of that, and we
Yeah.
ended our set at Deep Roots with it last week. And
yeah.
again, it went off. Like that's
Yeah.
one that I know I'll go back to. Whereas, yeah, I feel like certain tracks I see, okay, maybe this one didn't get as much reaction as I thought. Maybe save it for later, but
Yeah, use it in a different way, different set.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I definitely make note of what tracks did well, and I play them
Yeah.
frequently.
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
those bangers in your back pocket. Yeah. Gotta have them.
Must.
That's
I
what she said.
guess. Let's go. I guess if you could think like over your career of DJing so far, what is kind of one big challenge that you feel like you've overcome in like a really satisfying way?
One big challenge that I've overcome. I
Or a
think
couple
like
challenges.
yeah, I think just the whole like feeling like I gotta play a certain genre to get the fans, because now I'm like I've really found my sound and I know what I like to play. And
Yeah.
it may not be what most parties play here, but enough people like it that, I could switch it up, maybe play a bit more drum and bass at this party, maybe play a bit more techno at this party. But I think just knowing that I don't need to, stay in this box the whole time. I can definitely think outside the box.
Yeah.
But I've definitely overcome that, and I'm confident that I could keep doing that and people will appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think if you're playing most places, maybe Vantech and Gorg excluded, but most places you play, I feel like most people like multiple genres too. So it's not like
it's
they're
true.
like, you know what I mean? Like maybe if you go to like Gorg, like if you're playing, a couple of drum and bass tracks, it's probably not going to fly.
No.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like if you throw down the bass house, you may not
get a couple dirty loads.
On Vantech, if you start playing some, whatever, dubstep, you might get asked to leave. But in most places, if you bounce around, like, it's sometimes just taking people on a journey,
You're right.
Yeah.
And even like I've noticed at Red Room I've done that before, where Red Room people think in their head, oh, dubstep, drum and bass, like just bass. But we've played Jersey Club. We've played like
breaks, anything.
breaks. I played a break set there like a couple weeks ago, and it was great. Like someone actually messaged me saying, oh, I need more Steph Tsunami break set.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like,
Absolutely. Book me.
book me for
sure.
that.
Wow.
No, it's I think that's for the most part, you can hop around and people will be receptive.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think you prove yourself as a chameleon queen.
I am a
And
chameleon queen.
So
Wow,
many
thank
things
you.
to come. So many parties, so many
excited.
festivals.
I'm excited.
With LVL, with yourself.
Yeah. Gotta get the sleep in now while I can.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my gosh, Bank sleep now.
Yeah.
Bank all the
The
tunes.
summer is coming.
Yeah, summer
Yeah,
is
get your
coming.
sleep in now. Yeah.
Snaps for
Hype.
that.
Uh-huh.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for
God,
helping us
thank you for having me.
Yeah.
explain and be
So
here and
fun.
share your tune and your craft and your energy and what you contribute to the community too.
Oh my God, yeah, bless.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, and
Thank
stay
you.
Thank
tuned,
you.
all you guys. We're gonna also do a weekend report this week. So
Reporting.
if you Twitchers want to stick around, we will. Keep twitching.
We're gonna keep on twitching.
Keep on twitching.
But for you YouTubers, make
Yeah.
sure to go and follow Steph Tsunami and LVL on all their socials below.
Yes.
Follow the pod because we have new episodes every single week. We've got some very exciting ones
Oh.
coming up. I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I'll see you again very, very soon.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Adios.